guys, how's it going? Happy Thursday evening. I just put the babies to bed. But I wanted to come on here quickly because I posted a question this morning and a lot of you guys responded in terms of whether or not carbs are good or bad for weight loss. So I just wanted to come on here and sort of talk about this because, hey, Michelle, how's it going on? Because I know that it comes up so much, especially in the weight loss world. And in all of this, like the discussions about, when you're trying to consider what diet to do. So here's the thing that I just want to start off with, but it's a complex answer. So first and foremost, they're good. But like I said before, the thing is that society tells us they're not. So whether or not, the irony is, whether or not you want to admit it, even if you know that they're good, you psychologically start to make decisions based on what the diet industry and what society is telling you, meaning that you're going to choose lower carb options, or you're going to try to, cut them out as much as you can in your diet, which in terms of long-term weight loss success is not healthy at all. And so here's a secret that a lot of people don't know that I want to share with you guys. And if you want, you can go and start looking and digging and you're going to find the exact same thing. The irony when it comes to weight loss studies is that most weight loss studies are actually done on men and postmenopausal women. The reason being is that men and postmenopausal women's hormones are stable all the time. Female hormones fluctuate, as you know, we have 4 cycles in the month, so our hormones are constantly going like this. So in terms of being, test studies, we don't exactly make good ones because they're trying to basically isolate as many of the variables as possible. And if our hormones are fluctuating, it's not going to be good for us. We're not going to be easy to study. This also means that most of the weight loss studies that you're reading about are catered towards men and postmenopausal women. So for a lot of things like keto and intermittent fasting, which we keep hearing about, they're not necessarily good for us because these studies, they're treating us like we're smaller men, when actually, in actuality, we're an entirely different species. So this is huge. Hey, Michelle, how's it going? So this is huge. This is what you guys need to know, that we are a special breed. And as such, we need to remember that and take that into consideration when we're thinking about diets. Because, I know a lot of people are jumping on the IF train now, like intermittent fasting. They're all trying to do it. For women, it's actually not good. It actually raises your cortisol levels, which is going to keep you storing fat. At most, what most women want to do in terms of intermittent fasting is 12 hours. That's and if you look at the studies based on female studies that they've done, you'll see that women only need to be fasting for 12 hours. Anything more, it works really well for men and postmenopausal women, but it's not going to work for just standard because our hormones are all over the place. And so the same applies to carbs. In terms of doing keto, so let's just break down first why carbs get a bad rap. So carbs are basically broken down into glucose, which is sugar. So before being absorbed into your blood. So the glucose then, this is a lot of science, but it then enters your body cells and it helps with insulin. So glucose is used by your body as energy. So it fuels your activities. It's great for the gym. It's just, every single day energy, which is why if ever you're tired, that's your body's way of saying, and you're always going to crave carbs because that's your body's way of saying, I need energy. So the reason why carbs get a bad rap is because unused glucose is converted to glycogen, which is, whatever. I'm not going to get into all of the semantics of it, but the more glucose that is consumed, and is stored as glycogen, basically what happens is it gets stored in your body as fat. And so people think the more carbs you eat, the more fat you're going to store. But in actuality, this law applies to anything. If you overeat on anything, it's going to get stored in your body as fat. This isn't just a carbohydrate thing, but this is where people start to use the science to say, oh, if you overeat on carbohydrate, you know what I mean? Carbs are going to get stored as fat. No, anything that you overeat on is actually going to get stored as fat. What you really want The challenges with carbs is that when you overeat them, you become insulin resistant, which means your body doesn't know how to process them properly, which is really easy to fix over time and something that you need to work to rectify your hormones in order to do, which is another reason why you don't want to cut them out. Because when you cut out carbohydrates, what happens is like I said, your body's not going to know how to use them properly. Also, because they're your body's main source of energy, you're going to start to feel like sluggish. Like for any of you that have attempted keto, like you have the brain fog, you go through like, they call it keto flu, because your body just goes into like complete shock because it actually needs these nutrients. So, which also means that, when you cut them out, your body, like I said before, isn't using them properly. And so there's a number, and I know that a lot of you in the comments said stuff like, it depends on if the carbs are good or bad. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, obviously, overabundance of anything is not going to be good. However, simple carbohydrates versus complex carbohydrates. So like, simple carbohydrates are like sugar and fruit and candy and all of those, like baked goods, all of that stuff, versus complex carbohydrates, which are like whole grains and all of those good ones that we know that we should be eating. Both of them have a place in our diets. For example, if you're going to go do a really intense workout, you want to eat simple carbohydrates because they're going to get absorbed into your bloodstream really fast and be able to give you that super fast boost of energy that you're going to need for your workout. Whereas post-workout, when you want to recover and fill your muscles up and like your body up with that glycogen to help them recover, that's when you're going to want to have the complex carbohydrates. Or, alternatively, depending on the workout, you will also want to have simple carbohydrates to really get them in there. But the thing is so in terms of wanting to, like I was saying before, in terms of wanting to fix your hormones, the other reason why you don't want to cut out carbohydrates is because they give you a lot of good, healthy fiber that your microbiome, your gut needs in order to work and use and just function properly. And so if it's not getting a lot of that good fiber, what's happening is, again, you're really going to mess up your hormones. So it's just like this constant cycle. So for those of you, I'm just going to be totally honest, to each their own. And I know that, everybody in this group is open to doing their own things and trying to their own things. But in terms of my program, what I highly recommend and what all the women in the Nourish System do, they eat carbs regularly. It has to be a part of your diet. And I can tell you that every single one of them is losing weight regularly and enjoying carbohydrates, and not just complex carbohydrates. They're enjoying wine, they're enjoying chocolate, and they're enjoying all of the things that they want because they have all of these other pieces in place, which is what I mean. When you know how much carbohydrates you need to eat and the right kinds that you need to eat and when, you can actually just completely control your body and help it lose weight with the assistance of carbohydrates. So just to answer your question, guys, in a short roundabout way, because I know I'm just going off on a little bit of tangent, carbohydrates aren't bad. And I really, really want you to start to pay attention to how you're thinking about them in terms of your diet, because like I said before, subconsciously in our society right now, carbohydrates are being really, really demonized. We're being told that they're not good and that we should cut them out. And whether or not you want to believe it, it does enter in and it factors into a lot of your decisions. So I just want you guys to know that really, really look at the research. When you really, really dig deep and you start to realize that most of these studies are done on men and they're not done on us. They don't know, especially, not to go on another tangent, but during your luteal phase, I never say that properly, luteal phase of your period, your blood sugar levels are low, which means you need even more carbohydrates than like normal. So as I was saying, there's so many different factors and a lot of them don't even take women into consideration. So before you start to cut out carbohydrates or go on any of these diets, make sure that you're doing the research involved or the research needed, because I can tell you right now, you may be doing a lot of damage to your body that you don't want to do, which is why it's so important to go in knowing full well what you're getting yourself into, but most importantly, what's sustainable for you. Because if cutting out carbohydrates is something that's sustainable for you, God love you. I wish you all the best. But the majority of women that I speak to in the community and that have come into the Nourish life have tried it. And we all know with kids and birthday cakes and date nights and all these things, glasses of wine, You're not about to give them up. So we might as well make friends with them, figure out how to help our body use them properly, and then that way we can have the best of both worlds. Anyways, guys, that's all for now. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any more questions, you can either shoot me a DM or just comment below this video. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.